What happens to the hole in the cheese when the cheese has gone?
Welcome back to the deep end. Usually when we pull together a research stack for a dive, the themes are, pretty obvious.
Right. Geopolitics, tech, history.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But Today, the stack looks a little different. I have to admit, when I first saw the primary source material, I actually double-checked the file name.
I don't blame you.
I thought maybe I'd accidentally downloaded, a nursery rhyme or something.
It definitely catches you off guard. It's not often we spend our time analyzing a text titled The Celestial Void and the Infinite Cheese.
Or, and this is the alternate lifting, The Celestial Void of the Vanishing Cheese. It just sounds absurd.
It does.
But the mission today is to prove that first impression wrong, isn't it?
Mm.
We're saying that hidden inside this dairy-based title is actually a heavy-hitting exploration of some really big ideas.
That is the goal. And I think whimsical is the perfect word because it's a trap. This piece is from the modern big band genre, and what they do often is use this high energy, these complex brass arrangements to smuggle in some fairly dark philosophy.
It's a Trojan horse.
Exactly. You're tapping your foot to the rhythm, and you completely miss the existential crisis happening in the lyrics.
Okay, so we're acting as literary detectives today. We've got the full lyric, sheet verses, a bridge, chorus, and this really strange circular outro. We need to figure out how we get from a piece of Swiss cheese to the heat death of the universe.
And more importantly, how both of those are actually metaphors for human psychology.
Right. Okay, let's not waste any time. The opening lines, it just launches straight in with a question that honestly sounds like the setup to a joke.
What happens to the hole in the cheese when the cheese is gone?
It makes you want to laugh.
Right.
But if you actually pause on it for a second,
Yeah.
what is it really asking?
Well, strip away the word cheese. It's an ontological question. It's about the nature of being.
It reminds me of the ship of Theseus, but like in reverse. Instead of replacing parts, we're just removing the whole structure.
That's a great way to put it. It's the problem of the parasitic object. In philosophy, a whole is a fascinating problem because it can't exist without a host. It is defined entirely by what it is not.
So it's just negative space.
Yeah.
If I have a donut, the hole is defined by the dough. If I eat the dough, the hole doesn't go anywhere. It just
ceases to be distinguishable from the rest of the empty space.
Right. It just dissolves. So the narrator's asking, when the defining structure, the cheese or maybe a job, a relationship, whatever, when that's gone, does the specific emptiness it created remain?
And that's surprisingly heavy for a snack food metaphor.
It really is, and the lyrics immediately underscore that. The very next line is, will it fade like a shadow without its sun?
And there's the artistry. We move from a kitchen counter image straight to a celestial one, a shadow without its sun.
I think that line does so much work. A shadow, just like a hole, it's dependent. It needs a light and an object if you take away the sun.
The whole world becomes shadow. Or the shadow just vanishes into total darkness. It introduces this theme of dependency and, frankly, terror. The terror of not existing on your own terms.
Which explains the tone of the next part. The narrator isn't just curious, they sound desperate. It reads, with the answer to this question, is there anyone who can tell me?
Is there anyone? That's a plea. It's someone on the edge of a void looking for an authority figure, a scientist, anyone, to explain the physics of loss.
It's that feeling when your internal world collapses and you start looking for external validation. And that crisis, that feeling, it propels us somewhere else entirely.
Yes, it does. This transition to the bridge is one of the most jarring I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, let me read this because the juxtaposition it's wild. Nothing comes from nothing. I don't believe this to be true unless these supermassive black holes colliding in space got nothing else better to do.
There's so much packed into those 4 lines.
Okay, let's start with nothing comes from nothing. That's ex nihilo nihil fit, right? That's ancient Greek philosophy.
All the way back to Parmenides. It's a foundational concept of logic, but look what the narrator says. I don't believe this to be true.
They're just rejecting classical philosophy and because of black holes. Is that the reasoning?
It seems to be. And scientifically, they're kind of stumbling onto something. In modern quantum physics, nothing isn't really empty space. You have quantum fluctuations, virtual particles.
So, supermassive black holes colliding. That's taking the whole metaphor to its absolute extreme. A black hole is basically a hole in the fabric of space-time.
Precisely. If the cheese hole was a small, quiet nothing, colliding black holes are a violent nothing. And the narrator is looking at these cosmic events and saying, see, The universe makes something from nothing all the time.
I love the attitude, though. The lyrics say the black hole's got nothing else better to do. It's so casual.
It personifies the cosmos, doesn't it? As if the universe is just bored or indifferent.
Yeah, it's that crushing indifference you feel when you look at the stars sometimes. These massive cataclysmic events are happening, and to the narrator, it's just the universe twiddling its thumbs.
And that realization that the universe is vast and powerful and maybe doesn't care, that sets the stage for the emotional pivot in the chorus. You have to bring it back down to your own life.
And this is where the source text shifts and starts talking to us, to the listener. When you're dug in a hole, all hope is gone.
Notice the wordplay. We started with a hole in the cheese, a physical gap. Now you are dug in a hole. This is the psychological one.
Depression, debt, heartbreak. And the assessment is bleak. All hope is gone. It's that tunnel vision. When you're in the hole, you can't see the horizon.
Right. It's a scarcity mindset in its most extreme form. You're fixated on the lack, on the missing cheese, and that lack starts to define you.
But the lyrics immediately offer an instruction, a way out. Look to the heavens, see the stars and the shining suns.
Looking up. It's a physical act, but it's really a cognitive reframing. And it says shining suns, plural.
That plural is so important. Our sun is just one of billions.
Trillions, actually. It's all about abundance. The hole you're stuck in is finite. The heavens are infinite.
And that leads to the payoff line, which I think is the core thesis of the whole thing. Hard not to believe there's enough cheese for everyone.
And that's the moment the metaphor just completely resolves. The cheese was never just dairy.
It's resources, energy, success, love, whatever you think you've lost.
Exactly. When you're dug in a hole, you're in a zero-sum game. If I get the cheese, you don't. My gain is your loss.
But the lyrics are arguing for a non-zero-sum universe. Look at the stars, these fusion reactors burning with endless energy. The universe is incredibly abundant.
It's saying the scarcity is just a matter of perspective, not reality. You're mourning a slice of cheese while standing under a galaxy of suns.
It's surprisingly optimistic for a song that began with such existential dread.
It is. The cure for the void isn't filling the hole, it's realizing the hole is insignificant.
But just as we settle into this warm feeling of cosmic abundance, the track throws a total curveball. We hit the verse, and this part is a puzzle.
A cryptic verse?
Yeah, it just reads, so 9, 6, and 3. Just those numbers, no context.
This is where we have to speculate a bit, because the text gives us nothing else to go on.
My first thought was Tesla. You know, that quote about 3, 6, and 9 being the key to the universe. It kind of fits the cosmic vibe.
That's a popular theory. It would fit. Or it could be way more grounded. In a big band chart, you're counting bars. Maybe it's just a time signature shift.
Or coordinates. Who knows? But whatever the numbers mean, their function seems to be about representing order, structure.
A predictable sequence.
Yeah.
And what happens immediately after.
Total rejection of it. This zoo is not for me. Not for me. Can't make a monkey out of me.
The contrast is so sharp. From mathematical precision to this primal rejection of captivity, the zoo.
A zoo is a place where everything is categorized, caged, controlled.
And where resources are controlled, the zookeeper decides when you get your cheese. You're completely dependent on the system.
Okay, I see the connection now. If you're in the zoo societal expectations, the rat race, you're back in that scarcity mindset. You're waiting for someone else to feed you.
Exactly. The narrator is saying, this controlled environment, this cage, not for me.
Yeah, make a monkey out of me.
It's a claim of dignity. I am not here to perform for the cheese you dangle in front of me.
It connects right back to the stars. The stars represent the wild, abundant universe. The zoo is the small, controlled, scarce world. You have to leave the zoo to find the infinite cheese.
That's a terrifying leap to make, though. Leaving the zoo means leaving the guaranteed meal.
It does. But the reward is in the very next line. It wraps up by personalizing that abundance.
Easy to see if there's enough cheese for you. There's no cheese for me.
That is the death of envy.
Wow. Okay, break that down. Well, think about it. Envy comes from believing that if you succeed, I fail. If you get the cheese, I starve. But the narrator is saying no. If the universe is abundant, then your success is actually proof that there's plenty for me too.
So the other person isn't a competitor, they're just a fellow traveler.
It's a profoundly liberating thought. It lets you walk out of the zoo of competition. My cheese has nothing to do with your cheese.
So we've tracked this complete emotional arc. Confusion, awe, despair, hope, freedom. You'd expect the song to end there, Big finish, loud horns.
A triumphant final chord. That would be the standard big band ending.
But it doesn't. We get the outro, and the outro is just a loop.
It repeats the opening lines. What happens to the hole in the cheese when the cheese is gone?
And then it just stops. Why? Why undo all that progress?
I don't think it undoes it. I think it contextualizes it. It's the difference between a fairy tale and philosophy. In a fairy tale, you solve the problem and live happily ever after. In philosophy, the question never really goes away.
So even if I adopt an abundance mindset, even if I look at the stars, the void is still there.
The void is still there. The hole is a fundamental part of reality. You can understand it, you can look past it, but you can't eliminate it.
It feels circular, like the life cycle of a thought.
Yeah.
You have a crisis, find the solution, feel better, and then, eventually you're back in the kitchen staring at an empty plate.
It's the celestial void from the title. You can't have the infinite cheese without the possibility of the void.
It also makes the ending so much more contemplative. It fades out, leaves you in silence. It's not saying everything is great, look at the stars.
Exactly. It's saying, look at the stars, realize there is enough, but respect the emptiness too. It balances the nihilism with the optimism.
When we started this, I was ready to just make a lot of dairy puns, but this is surprisingly dense.
That's the power of the medium. Music can take you on a journey that a textbook on existentialism just can't.
It brings philosophy down to earth, or I guess shoots it into space. So what's the takeaway? For someone listening to this, stuck in traffic, or at the gym, or eating a sandwich right now?
I think it's the zoo versus the stars. We all have moments where we feel dug in a hole, trapped by our circumstances. That's the zoo.
And the instruction is to shift your focal point.
Right. Stop looking at the bars of the cage. Look at the scale of the opportunity. The world is massive. There is almost certainly enough cheese for you if you stop fighting for the scraps in the corner.
It's about widening your aperture. Narrow view, scarcity. Wide view, abundance.
That's the core message.
I want to leave a listener with one more thought, though. Something's been bugging me about that loop at the end. The song asks, what happens to the hole when the cheese is gone? But I want to flip it.
Go on.
We spend our lives chasing the cheese, right? The goal. But what happens to the hole that the pursuit itself created?
What do you mean?
I mean, if you spend 20 years chasing a career, that pursuit shapes you. It digs a hole in your life. You carve out time, relationships, health, all to make space for the cheese.
You become the shape of your ambition.
Exactly. And when you finally get the cheese, does it actually fit? Or do you realize that the hole you dug, the hunger, the drive, was maybe the real defining feature of your life, not the reward you got at the end?
That is a haunting thought. Does the hole matter more than the cheese? If you fill the void, do you lose your purpose?
It goes back to the black holes having nothing better to do. Maybe the collision, the pursuit, maybe that's the whole point.
I think you just wrote the sequel to the song.
I'll get the band together.
Please do.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope next time you see a piece of Swiss cheese, you give it the existential respect it deserves.
And remember to look up at the shining suns.
We'll see you on the next one.
What happens to the hole in the cheese when the cheese is gone?